guys, I hope you all are having a good day today on Wednesday, and I know that there's no new work that I'm assigning today, but I thought that I wanted to go over yesterday's math with you a little bit more closely, just to give you an example of how to solve these problems, because you've never done anything like this before, and I just want to be sure you understand how to do it. I don't want anybody to be confused or stressed out, so I'm just going to model the first 4 problems for you. If you've already done them, you can check yourself with what I'm about to show you. And if you haven't started, this will give you something to go from. So the number one thing you have to pay attention to is whether it's asking you for area or perimeter. Okay? Now, if you want to write, I forgot to do this, but you might want to write somewhere on your paper, area equals length times width. You've got to remember that formula, okay? And I just did an L for length and a W for width. And perimeter, remember that equals 2 times length, plus 2 times width. So the lengths of the two sides, or the length of the side, the length times 2 for 2 sides, and the width times 2 for 2 sides added together is how we get perimeter. So you might want to have those on your paper as you work so you remember which formula to use. Now, last week we talked about area and perimeter problems with one unknown. We might not know the length, we might not know the width, or we might not know the area or perimeter. This week, today's work, we have multiple unknowns. The only thing we know is the area or the perimeter. So we're going to use what we know and use these formulas to kind of work backwards to solve these problems. So the first one, we're told that the area is equal to 63 square units. So that means the area inside of our rectangle is 63 square units. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle. And I'm going to figure out, hi Elliot, can you say hi? Go see Daddy, okay? The area inside of this is 63 square units. So if I divide it up into squares, I would count 63 squares. So I'm going to use this formula. Area, which is 63, is equal to length times width. Now, sorry, my paper's kind of messy today. I've got to think about what 2 numbers I could multiply together to get 63. And one of them can be the length, one of them can be the width. Now, some of these problems, there might be more than one way to do this. This one, I don't think there is. I think there's only one way. So we're going to think about factors of 63. What numbers can I multiply together to get 63? This one's a little tricky. Hopefully you remember our 9s times tables. But if you think about 63, I know that 9 times 7 equals 63. All right, 9 times 7 equals 63. If you weren't sure, you could start at 9 times 5, which is 45. 9 times 6, which is 54. 9 times 7, 63. Okay, so I know that if I divided this up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units wide, and this way into 9 units long, and I multiplied those together. Oh, I did that wrong. That should be 7. Sorry, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll add another one on. Sorry about that. 9 times 7, multiplying the sides together, I get that area of 63. So I just kind of have to think about it backwards, okay? So I'm going to hop over here and do what I think is number 4 on your paper, because it's also area, and then I'll switch to perimeter. So for this one, some of you might remember Miss Cross's favorite multiplication fact is equal to 36. Can you guys remember my favorite? Remember Miss Cross loves 6 times 6 is 36. So if I knew my area was 36, it's going to be equal something times something. Length times width. Now, immediately that popped into my head because that's my favorite fact. So I could have a length of 6 and a width of 6, which would make that a square. Now, I also know that 9 times 4 also equals 36. So if you divided yours up by 9 units long and 4 units wide, that also is correct. Okay, so again, I started with the area, which it gave us, and I thought about what are 2 factors of that number that will multiply together to give me the area. Okay, so there's even another answer you could do here. You could do 3 times 12. So you don't have to think of all the possible combinations, just one that works for that number, okay? So now I'm going to shift to perimeter. Now, the formula might be confusing you. I don't want it to be. If that formula is confusing you, think about it by adding your 4 sides together. That's fine too. So, I know with my formula that the perimeter of 38 is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So I've got to figure out what the length is and what the width is. So what I would suggest doing for these perimeter problems is decomposing your number into tens and ones. And I'm going to try to use the tens as one length and the ones as the other. So if I decompose that into 30 and 8, okay? So if my length were 30 and my width were 8, width was 8, but you've got to remember that that's 2 sides together here. I've got to split that in half, okay? So let me draw my rectangle. So both of my lengths together are going to equal 30. So if I divide that by 2, I'm going to get 15 here and 15 here. Those 2 together are equal to 30. So that leaves me with 8. So these 2 widths added together are going to equal 8. So if I divide 8 by 2, I get 4. Okay? So I'm going to put that into the formula now and see if it works. So I'm going to see if 2 times 15 plus 2 times 4 equals 38. 2 times 15 equals 30. 2 times 4 equals 8. Okay? So there could be other ways to do that. You can figure those out if you want to. That is fine. But I'm going to try to do them that way first because I know that that will work. Okay? So this is what you would draw in that little grid with the correct lengths and widths. Okay? Now, for this one, perimeter equals 22. Okay? So I've got to figure out my length and width for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my rectangle again. I'm also going to decompose that into tens and ones, just like I did over here. So I'm going to have 20 and 2. Now I'm going to split those in half to get my length and width. So if I know that these together equal 20, because they're the same, half of that would be 10 here and 10 there. Okay? Now if I split my 2 up, I get 1 and 1. So if I put that back into the formula, 2 times 10 plus 2 times 1, I get 20 plus 2, which is 22. And if you're struggling with the formula, just add them all up and be sure they equal the perimeter. So 10 plus 10 is 20, 21, 22. And I think I forgot to do that for this one, but 15 plus 15 is 30. 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay? So hopefully this helps you get started. If you are struggling, please don't stress out about that. Reach out to me or Miss Bell if this is difficult for you, and we will be happy to help you with it. We want to be sure you understand this, okay? So have a great day. Please message us if you need us so that we can help you, all right? Bye, guys. See you next time.